touched it. Can you just check on between his
Sir,
legs?
listen to me.
He's moving and everything. Look, he's moving. Can you check your hands?
I didn't.
Can you check your people? All the blue hundreds are right there behind that receipt. Thank you. All that's my money.
I just want to apologize to everyone and say, man, one of these things, dude.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Scotty O, aka the Gen Z Attorney, and I currently work as an assistant district attorney in the great state of North Carolina, which means I'm a real-life prosecutor. I'm in court every day, and I'm prosecuting, trying to put bad guys in jail. And my goal here on this channel is to make videos talking about real-life criminal cases and the justice system generally, and hopefully prove that not every member of Gen Z is a brain-rotted TikToker. Now, one of the most important parts of being a prosecutor is having good relationships with my officers. We really work as a tag team tandem where police officers, they're the ones that go out in the streets, they respond to calls, they investigate, they arrest people and charge people, and then bring those cases to us in the DA's office, and we take the case to court and prosecute it either to the fullest extent of the law, modify the charges to something more just, or sometimes even outright dismissing them. But through all of that, step one is always going to be the officer and the job that they do. So it's super important that we have officers that do their job well, do them with integrity, and follow the law in everything that they do. Now that's important because in today's case, we're talking about an officer who did not do his job, did not follow the law, and attempted to enrich himself by stealing some money from a guy that he was arresting. This case is coming to us out of Charlotte, North Carolina, which, to be clear, that's not where I work. I don't work in Mecklenburg County, I work in a different county. So all the information I have on this case just comes from the news articles I've read and the body cam that I've seen and I'm now going to show you. But either way, this case focuses on Officer Henry Chapman, who is an officer with the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, and it really started out as a normal run-of-the-mill case. A different officer, a motorcycle officer, initially pulled over the defendant, Mr. Moncray Moon, for speeding at 68 miles an hour in a 45 mile an hour zone. This officer pulls him over, tells him what he stopped him for, and then goes back to his motorcycle to check the database to see if Mr. Moon has any warrants out for his arrest. It's pretty standard stuff. What he quickly finds is that not only does Mr. Moon have a warrant for his arrest, but it's a federal warrant from the U.S. Marshals. Due to seeing this warrant and seeing that he's going to have to arrest this guy, he calls for backup. And at this point, the villain of our story, Officer Chapman, pulls up to the scene in his cruiser. The officer then tells Chapman that Mr. Moon's got a federal warrant for his arrest, and they decide to approach the car to go make the arrest. Now, so far through all this, Mr. Moon, he's being very polite, very cooperative, not giving them any issues at all. They have him step out of the car and inform him that they're placing him under arrest for this federal warrant. And you can see through all this that Officer Chapman, he has his body cam turned on. You may think, okay, of course he does, that's the rule. But we'll see why that's important later. Either way, as is policy when you arrest somebody, they now have authority to search him and search for any contraband on his person, at which point they find a thick stack of cash inside his coat pocket. You can look at that thing. That's a thick stack, all hundreds. We don't know how much it is in the moment, but we find out later. That's over $8,000 cash he's got just right there in his coat pocket. So they take the money out, put Mr. Moon in the back of the cruiser, and then take that money and put it into the shotgun seat of the cruiser, I think inside an envelope at that point. Now, this is commonplace to take any evidence that's seized at the scene and put it into evidence folders that then become sealed. Of course, the idea being you want to prevent evidence tampering, you want to protect the chain of custody, that gets documented from point to point so you know where the evidence has been each step of the way to make sure no one was able to get to it and change anything. This is all just standard stuff, preserving evidence for a potential trial. Now, what they don't do yet is count the money at the scene, which we'll see later why that also is important. At this point, though, someone who was riding in the car with Mr. Moon comes up and asks if he can get the cash back, at which point the officer says, no, it was on Mr. Moon when he was arrested. It's going to go with him because it could be relevant to the investigation. He also throws in a comment there about wants to make sure no one messes with it, which the irony in that statement will soon become apparent.
So it's staying with you, so you know we didn't take none, and none's going to be missing. All right, but I want to... No, we are taking that. That's staying with you. That's the rule.
And you gave me
So
some of it
because it come off of you, every bit of it's going with you. Does that make sense?
So fast forward, we're at the police station now, and they're handing the money over to a different officer so she can count it out and see how much is there. But as Officer Chapman is handing the money over, the defendant, Mr. Moon, he senses something a little fishy. He hears a rubber band snap. He looks over and sees Officer Chapman kind of shuffling a little bit inside his car. His hands are down, his legs are moving. If he didn't know any better, it looks like Officer Chapman just skimmed a few Benjamins off the top of that stack. And you can even see right out of the gate as as Mr. Moon is looking into the car, like he's really trying to look in and see, what, did you just take my money? You see Chapman reaching out the window with the rest of the money, like holding it so far out, trying to, like a magician, you know, slide a hand, like, oh, look at the shiny object, look over here. When he knows he's got a bunch of money he just stole and is currently sitting right in between his legs. So Mr. Moon starts to point this out and say, I think you just stole some money.
How much money did you have on you? I'm asking.
I haven't touched it. Can you just check on between his legs?
Sir, listen to me.
He's moving and everything. Look, he's moving.
Sir.
I'm good.
Sir, listen to me. Tell me how much cash you had on you. What was the amount?
I just want to see. I'm not gonna lie. Can you check? I'm not going nowhere. Can you check your fellow officer for me, please?
Yeah.
Hell no. He just touched me. I heard the rubber band pop. He told me, oh, I had to look, and he's moving. He's moving in between his legs. Can you check your hands?
I didn't.
Can you check your people? Because he's touching.
Yeah.
What's
Tell
going
me
on?
what's the total amount.
Look at his hand. He's tucking money. He's tucking money right in his right hand.
Tell me how much money you
He's
had on
tucking
you.
money. He's tucking my money. That's a problem. Can y'all check him?
So they're trying to ask him how much money he had with him so that when they count it up, if it doesn't match up, and if it's short at all, then okay, yeah, somebody must have taken some. Now they feel a lot better about searching their fellow officer, their colleague, because that's just an awkward position to be in. If you've got a coworker, a colleague you work with every day, being accused of something, and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt because this is someone you know. And then, right, if they're just immediately like, oh, Chapman, get out of the car. Now you're breaking down the working relationship if it turns out to be false. Because, like, why would you just immediately assume that I stole money? Plus, too, we got to keep in mind that defendants, when they're under arrest, say some of the most wild stuff you'll ever hear. I mean, I hear stuff in court every day. Just crazy stories, crazy explanations of how why people did what they did, how they're not able to get to court. Just everything in the book you can think of, even stuff you can't even think of, I've heard as an explanation. So when you're an officer and you're constantly hearing BS from the people you arrest, you kind of learn to just, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, I'm sure that, yeah, that's right. But Mr. Moon is not letting this go. He's telling them, no, he took some money. He's shuffling around in there. Can you please look and see if he's taken any money? Now look right there. That's the face of a man who knows he done goofed. And look, you can even see the way he's sitting there. He's kind of shielded his body to be as close to the door as possible and looking out. Just honestly, look, to me it looks like a deer in the headlights look. Like, yeah, he really knows he messed up. I mean, look, he looks like the kid holding the drink and the gift, where this is just the last place in the world he wants to be because it's just awkward and he knows he's in big trouble. He's this close to getting in huge trouble here. Because yeah, I'm sure he's arrested people before for embezzlement. So he knows what embezzlement is, and he knows he just did it, and he knows, yeah, he's this close to getting found out. So either way, Mr. Moon, he continues to make this claim that his money's been stolen. Officers kind of continue to just be like, well, look, just tell us how much there is so we can count it, see if there's a disparity, and go from there. But he's not giving them a number because he doesn't want to basically lock himself in. That maybe it's too low. And then they count the money and he has more than he estimated. And boom, now they think he's lying to them. So yeah, pretty smart for Mr. Moon to not give them the clear answer and just stick on this point. Can you please just check him, please? So then the sergeant gets involved, which the sergeant is Chapman's boss. And he's trying to make sense of the situation, get to the bottom of it. And eventually, yeah, he gets Chapman to get out of the vehicle, who kind of shows like, look, I've got nothing on me. But of course, he's going to be willing to show, look, my pockets are empty, because he knows there's nothing in his pockets, because at this point, the money is in the car door. And have you noticed something else throughout this entire body cam at the police station? We haven't seen the angle of Chapman's body cam this entire time. The last time we saw his angle was out in the street when they were initially making the arrest. And Mr. Moon correctly points this out, saying, you don't even have your body cam on.
None of you guys' body cams is on, like I know.
Mine is on right now.
But I know for a fact what I've seen and what I heard.
Now, the officer that was counting the money, the female officer, she's like, well, I have mine on, and Chapman points to her camera to say, look, she has hers on. But even in there, he's supposed to have his own camera on. Their camera's supposed to stay on throughout the entire, from point of contact to arrest to conclusion of the investigation, where they're passing him off to the jail, because that entire time, the defendant, any statements they make can be used against them. And how are you going to remember the statements they make if your body cam's not on? I mean, you can try and remember it in your head, but if you have your body cam on, you can always just go back and listen to everything they said. But conveniently, very conveniently, Mr. Chapman here, his body cam is no longer on.
Why?
So since it's clear there's no money on Officer Chapman, the defendant says, well, okay, it must be in the door then.
I would have felt comfortable if your colleagues would have searched you at the exact time where I knew where the money was. Because I seen you kept going in between your legs. And then every time everybody put all of the attention on me, you kept moving. I don't know if it's in your door. I don't know where it's at.
At this point, they're just trying to count the money and move on with the investigation, but it's clear Mr. Moon is not going to let this go. So the sergeant steps over and says, okay, fine, watch this. Let me open the door. Now you can see Officer Chapman try and kind of angle his body, position himself in a way that's obscuring as much as he can of the inside of the car. Unfortunately for him, Mr. Moon was able to see. He saw the money inside the car door. He said, look, it's right there. There's the Benjamins right there behind the receipt.
All the blue hundreds are right there behind that receipt. Thank you. All that's my money. He didn't have that.
This is your money?
Yes.
The sergeant pulls it out, and Mr. Moon's like, yeah, look, see, there it is. And Chapman, Officer Chapman, says it's not my money.
I heard him crumble it up. Thank you. Thank you. All that's been recorded, right? That's my money. That's my money right there.
Well, no duh, man. It's because he stole it. Of course it's not your money. At least he could have potentially made the claim, well, yeah, that's my money. I put it there earlier. But he really locked himself in to his guilt by saying, that's not my money. Well, of course, if it's not your money, who else could it be except for the guy whose money you were just handling? The stacks of Benjamins. You've got 9 Benjamins right there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I'm sure his mind is reeling. He's like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. He knows, right, embezzlement in North Carolina, depending on how much you embezzle, is a felony. It's either a Class C felony, if you embezzle over $100,000, or if it's under $100,000, it's a Class H felony. Now granted, an H is on the lower end. The lowest level felonies we have are I's, so it's one level up from I to H. But still, yeah, it's still a felony. And like I said earlier, I'm sure he's arrested and charged people with embezzlement before. So yeah, the irony here is pretty rich.
Ironic.
But not only does Mr. Moon feel vindicated here in his relentless efforts to say, just check, and the officer's saying, no, yeah, like, I'm sure, okay, yeah, buddy, okay. And finally they do, and it's like, ha, see, I was right. And they were trying to gaslight him the whole time. And now he's feeling good about himself, and he says, yeah, that right there, that should be about $1,000. Check it right now. Now Chapman, he's still denying, saying that's not my money. At a later point, they do check it and find out, yeah, it's 9 Benjamins, $900. And then, funny enough, Mr. Moon, he actually expresses what appears to be some sympathy for Officer Chapman.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to expose you.
That is not me, bud.
Brother, I just seen you steal my money. It was no reason for me to pop my rubber band, brother. It was no reason for me to pop my rubber band off my money.
I didn't pop your rubber band off your money.
I heard it. Me and you just spoke about it.
Which, yeah, it's just a really interesting thing to see, because, yeah, Mr. Moon, he's been talking a lot during this body cam. And the officers are kind of letting him talk because that's an investigation strategy, because like I said earlier, anything they say can be used against them, and the more they talk, the more likely they are to incriminate themselves in some way. So they're just kind of letting him ramble. But through all of it, he's been very, very respectful, very polite, very cooperative, very respectful, just adamant, like, could you just please check to see if that's my money there? And then even when it's found, he's not taking glee in that. He's sorry for the officer. He's like, look, I didn't want to expose you. I didn't want to have it come to this, but why'd you do that? Like, yeah, a defendant in a position like this, it'd be so easy for them to start gloating, feel like start pumping their chest of like, ha, see, I got you.
Johnny loves Chachi!
But it seems like Mr. Moon, he didn't really want to do that. So I give him a lot of credit for this video. He handled himself incredibly well. He wasn't fighting. He wasn't physically trying to grab the money. He didn't create any more problems for himself than, I guess, the situation he was already in, which would be the federal arrest warrant. But then we get to the end of it. We see Officer Chapman sitting at his desk. The sergeant comes in and tells him, hey, look, some detectives, they're going to come talk to you. I got to take your weapon. And at this point, this is what's so interesting about officers in these types of situations, is that they're always on the other side of it. They're the ones that are arresting people who did something wrong. The people know they did something wrong. And now they're trying to talk to them and be like, hey, can we get you anything? Like, you can see the contrition, you can see the guilt on his face. And to be on the other side of that interaction, or the other side of that exchange, it's got to be a really weird feeling. But once again, he basically seals his guilt again by apologizing. I mean, it sounds bad, but as far as a legal defense goes, yeah, admit nothing, deny everything, apologize for nothing. That's kind of your best shot at having a defense, but because the more you admit, the more it can be used against you. But the moral thing to do, in my opinion, is to admit when you've done something wrong. To, be a man in this situation, own up to it, and try and make it right. So he's apologizing, and you can really see the look on this other officer's face of like how sucky of a situation this is, because I don't know how close any of these people are, but I imagine they work closely together. They're in the same division, same unit. This is someone you work with every day, and someone you're used to seeing around, and someone, you probably have a pretty good relationship with. And here he is sitting here. He knows he messed up, and he knows he messed up big time. And your job there is to treat him the same way you would treat anyone else. And it's so tough there when you know the guy, and just to have to basically be the adult and be the enforcer against your own friends. So that's where the body cam ends. What we learn later is that this officer was arrested just 6 hours later and charged with felony embezzlement, the class H felony for trying to steal the 900. He was initially placed on administrative leave pending the investigation, but he resigned the next day. And the case is actually still ongoing. It hasn't been officially resolved yet. This initial body cam is from March, so we're only 3 months. This is only 3 months past, and these cases usually take a little more than 3 months, especially if it's a felony. I have no idea what's going to happen with the case. It is a sad situation because there's so many good officers, and I'm sure some people watching this video might be wondering why me, as someone who is on the state side, it's my job to have officers' backs, why make any content like this at all, where it's auditing the state, it's auditing the government, auditing officers when they do bad stuff, or auditing other prosecutors when they're doing stuff I disagree with. And honestly, the truth of it is because I believe in the system, and the only way the system works is if there's good people in it that are making the right decisions and making just decisions with integrity. But the system is only going to be as good as the people that are in it. And when there are people that are in it that are not upholding their oaths, that are not doing what I think is just, what I think is right, then I think it's my duty to speak about that and to call that out. Because if we don't do that as people within the system, then all we're doing is basically admitting complicity with the people that do the things that are bad, that they're not supposed to do. But by being able to speak with some reason and identify when something is bad, something is wrong, like this officer clearly messed up and needs to face the consequences for it. If I'm not able to say that, then that makes me basically complicit with what he did. And it makes me complicit in casting this wide net and saying the whole system is like that, or all the officers are like that, when I know for a fact none of the officers that I know are anything like that. So that's just a little reason why. That's just a little bit of a look into why I consider making videos like these that are honest and are truthful, because I think it's my duty. So we'll see what happens with this case. Beyond that, that's really all I've got for today's video. Glad I got to make it, just since it does hit pretty close to home. It is in the same state that I'm working in, and I know these laws backward and forward. But if you like this video, you like this kind of content, be sure to let me know, drop a like down below, and also subscribe to come back for more big brain breakdowns of current real criminal cases, whether they be high profile stuff or stuff like this. And let me know down below the kind of interactions that you've had with police officers. Have they been good, kind, respectful? Have they been jerks, arrogant? I'm really interested in y'all's experiences because I really see everything. But I'm curious what y'all have seen. But that is all I got for today, so I will see you all on the next one.